Hi, this is Michelle Mellon, author of Down by the Sea and Other Tales of Dark Destiny, and you are watching Dark Destiny Dissected. This is episode number 10, and we're talking about Fear of the Darkness. So Fear of the Darkness is one of those stories that I have no idea where it came from. It just appeared in my head, fully formed. I don't normally write creature stories, but for whatever reason, this story needed to be written, and I was the one to do it. So it showed up, and next thing I knew, it was being published in Scary Story Series number 002 anthology. And then the publisher set up this Halloween event in LA. So on Halloween 2005, I went to this bookstore and gave my first ever reading of one of my stories. I'm just glad that no one asked where the idea came from, because I honestly have no idea. So I hope you enjoy this excerpt from Fear of the Darkness, and we'll check out Down by the Sea and Other Tales of Dark Destiny to read more. Halloween loomed. Christine was famous for hosting a large costume party that lasted until dawn. She over-invited people, knowing they'd show up in shifts and fill the gaps left by departing guests. The house was always brightly lit and full of music, games, and food. Trick-or-treaters sailed to the door under a canopy of vibrant orange light strung throughout the trees, and votives illuminated the walkway. Christine could look out the window and be comforted by the lack of shadows on this darkest night of the year. "What are you working on?" Christine jumped. John seemed to be lurking around more these days, watching her, smiling secretively, writing things in a little notebook when he didn't think she could see him. She swiveled around in her desk chair and looked past John to the open office door. She was positive she had closed it earlier, and deliberately hadn't oiled the hinges as she normally would once the weather turned cold and humid, but it hadn't creaked to alert her to John's presence. "The invitation for the Halloween party," she said, turning and looking at John, who was staring at the screen behind her. "Yeah, so about that. I was thinking maybe we shouldn't do the party thing this year." Christine swallowed the lump in her throat and fought to control a quavering in her voice. "Why not?" She continued to stare at him, challenging him to break away from the screen and look her in the eye when he gave whatever excuse he was about to give. Instead, his focus moved up to one of the few bare spots on a wall, otherwise filled with bright awards and framed thank you notes from Christine's clients. "Well, we talked about the vacation in Greece in the spring, so we should start saving money for that. Make it really first class, you know?" Good cover, Christine thought, but she knew the truth of his elaborate explanations, his furtive scribblings, and the tired nightly drama at the dinner table. At least she thought she did, after flipping through his notebook one morning while he was still asleep. He thought she was crazy, possibly paranoid or delusional, he had written, suffering from severe acrophobia, socially dysfunctional. She wanted to rip out the pages, wake him up, and stuff the sheaves down his throat until he choked on his arrogance. Instead, she put the notebook back, undamaged. She pretended things were perfectly normal, just as she was pretending now. "That sounds smart, but we don't have to worry. I just landed a big account that will pay for half of the Greek trip by itself," she lied. "Let him chew on that," she smiled, waiting for his next feint. To her surprise, he lowered his gaze to meet hers. "Christine, let's just get to the heart of the matter." He dropped to a squatting position beside her chair, his hands covering hers on the armrest as she twisted to face him. "You have to get over this fear of the dark." "Why?" "It's not healthy." "For whom?"